Hi, this is David again. And I guess I'm doing some New Year's resolutions, kind of cleaning up kids that are not worth the paper their name is on as me as their father. I just guess I'm kind of done with the bullshit of the Mormon church and the bullshit of my children. Certainly, my children are brainwashed, and perhaps many of you think that they should be held innocent. But I don't hold them that way. I'm getting old, and I'm going to die. And you know what? I'm going to die a happy man. Because every day I do this, I get happier. I got rid of my daughter, Amy, yesterday. And I want to get rid of my daughter, Monica, today. And before I do that, I know I can see the hits coming out of Oklahoma. My good kid the other day, he says, "Dad, are you going to make a video on me?" And I go, "No, shit, no. We have a relationship. We disagree on stuff. She's still LDS. She respects me as an atheist. I respect her. And of course, I would not dump that kind of a child or disown him. But Monica Lynn, I'm going to disown you, okay? Let me tell publicly, because my kids have gone bullshit that this is public. See, they're Mormons and they want to hide. They want to hide this evil that they can't defend. Okay, here it is. I fell in love with Monica's mother when I was in 7th grade. I was just enchanted with that girl, Janet. And I got married, and she got married. And of course, I had to marry Mormon because my dad was fanatical, and I was unhappy and got divorced. And she got divorced. So I happened to see her when I was home on college vacation from BYU, and invited her to come back to BYU with me. And she had a 3-year-old, Monica. And Monica, when I found her with Janet, Janet was on welfare. Janet had emotional problems. She lived in a commune up the canyon, Ohala, up in Ojai, and was sexually promiscuous. She'd had 4 or 5 abortions through high school, and then she lived up at Ohala, and then a flood came through, and her parents lost the property up there. And when I found Monica, she was Janet's daughter, and I wanted to be married to Janet, and I was willing to take the baggage that came with that. And I went to Janet's apartment out there on, it's right off of Main Street there in Ojai, California. And the bowling alley is just down a half a mile from there. And I went in, and here's little Monica. I don't know how old she was. She might have been 6 months. She might have even been walking. She might have been 10 or 12 months. And she was laying on a mattress on the floor where the mice and the cockroaches were. And she had no bed. And in California, I guess it's not important that she had a blanket. But to me, the way I raise kids, it was close to neglect. It was very close to neglect. And my heart went out to that little girl. And I thought, well, you know, if I take her mother, then I should bring her with her. And so they both came to live, and then we had 4 other children, Janet and I. And the Mormon church, the other kids were all born under the covenant. And little Monica wasn't. And the Mormon church pressured me and Janet and said, you know, you cannot have that child sealed to you in the temple until she is adopted. I go, geez, you know, okay, what does it take to adopt her? Well, her biological father, Monica thinks I'm an asshole now, but you know, what does she say about Chuck? What does she say about Chuck, who abandoned her mother when Monica was 3 months old in the stomach of her mother, not even born? We never heard another word from Chuck, and he's a good guy. He's better than a faithful father that adopted her, paid for everything for her, raised her to be an honorable marriage person. I'm the asshole, and he's the hero. Well, I'm suggesting in this video, Monica, go find your real dad. He was real concerned about you when you were a baby. Maybe he just went to the store and didn't come back. Screw you. Okay, let me go on and say this. I went on and adopted Monica. Was it an expensive adoption? Let me tell you how expensive that adoption was. Her mother was receiving right at about $500 a month from what the old program was called ADFC, Aid to Families with Dependent Children, AFDC. And that meant that because her father abandoned her, that Monica got extra money every month from the government, and it was mixed into the money of the family to support the whole family. Well, I figured that out, that to adopt her, we lost that money. I lost that money. $80,000. But I loved her. I loved her. I knew she'd be faithful. I knew she would never betray me. I knew she would love me till the end of life and never take a cult church over me. She's a Relief Society president. Head of the Relief Society. In Texas. Yeah, in Texas. I think her husband is fabulous. I think Dan is a wonderful attorney. And they're very wealthy. I think they have 5 or 6 kids. And Dan graduated from Duke University, and I helped my daughter Monica when she was at BYU. I bought a house in Orem and let Dan and Monica live in the bottom of the house, and as I remember, it was rent-free. I might have charged them $100 or something. I don't remember. It's been so long ago. But I did help them as much as I could there. Well, Monica wanted to go to Europe as a foreign exchange student. We were an average family. We didn't have big money. God, I had so many damn kids. We could barely put a roof over our head, and she wanted to do that. And I thought, well, all right, I'll help her, whatever I could do, because I couldn't raise the money. So what we did is every week in California, we took the garage sale ads, and we would call the people and say, did you have things left over from your garage sale that you'd like to donate? And they said, yeah. So I helped her buy a car, and we went over and picked up the furniture and the bowling balls. And finally, there was too much crap for the house, so we rented a shed, and I went over and helped her carry, you know, beds and couches. And oh, I was the bad dad. Chuck Jacobson, I'm sure, would have just sent her ass money. Well, then she had her own garage sale every week from the stuff that she collected from last week. The child made $3,000. In those days, that was a lot of money, and that did cover the expense. She had the garage sale on my front yard of her going to Europe. I was proud of her for that, and I thought, you know, this is turning out to be a pretty decent child. And you know, I've never thought of Monica being adopted, basically, until I do this video. She was just a regular kid to me. But now I find her a really ungrateful bitch that I pulled her out of that, and I sacrificed the time and the money with my natural children. And you could ask Monica today, was she ever treated differently? Well, she went to Europe. When they started to go over there, the program said, we don't have any house for her to live in after all we've been through. So Dad got a hold of Switzerland stake president. I said, my daughter needs a place to stay. He said, oh, she can stay with us. And I said, okay. So she went over to Switzerland and came back speaking French and Italian. And she graduated high school at 16 in a foreign language. Pretty smart kid. Pretty smart kid. So I wanted her to get into BYU, and I knew how heavy BYU weights seminary. So I called John Hunter, my friend in the Ojai ward, whose father was Howard W. Hunter, the prophet. And I got special permission for Monica to basically go through seminary, have good grades, and basically meet all of the requirements of getting into BYU. So when she applied, BYU said, no, she doesn't have a high school diploma. And we said, well, she can't get that till she's 18. She's graduated from European schools, but they don't give the certificate till she's 18. And they said, well, screw you. There's BYU, you know. And I said, no, BYU, screw you. So I made some phone calls and advocated, and they finally accepted Monica at 16 years old, 17, at BYU as a freshman. Where was Chuck Jacobson? Where was Chuck? Where was the man who was supposed to be doing all of this for you, Monica? I guess he was busy. 20 years he was busy. So she goes and takes a French class, which she gets good grades in because she speaks fluent French, and she meets Dan. And Dan and her hit it off, and they decide to get married. And Off they go to Duke University. I visited them once. I drove clear across the country to go to Duke and had a nice visit with them, etc. Well, a long story short, I haven't seen or heard, haven't had a call, a Father's Day card, a wedding invitation, a birth of a child invitation. I have, Monica is following in her father's footsteps, her biological father's footsteps. She's disappeared off the face of the earth. And I know she's in counseling. She should be. She should be. The way she treats me and doesn't respect and appreciate the things I did for her. I hope she's in counseling the rest of her life until some counselor stops alongside the head and goes, what the hell? Why are you ignoring your father who did so much for you, and he just doesn't believe in your religion? Oh, he's an apostate. He's a devil. And, okay. So, I have another daughter that died today. Amy died yesterday, and I had an interesting email from a gentleman that says he totally understands. He says, a lot of people, David, are not going to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. The rules of the world is that a father should be able to be abused until he dies by his children. And I'm bipolar, and you know what? I don't live by those rules. My head's a little different, folks. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. These are adult children. These are not little kids. Now when my 9-year-old screams, I hate you, I wish you weren't my father. We've all had that as parents, and we don't hold those children accountable. When children have 3 or 4 kids and they're growing and they're, adults, and then they act like this, I think they're assholes, and I don't have to associate with assholes, whether they're carrying my genes or not. And Monica, you're not even carrying my genes. All you had was my heart and my love, and you've stomped on it and stomped on it for just about 10 years. That's long enough. That's long enough. Don't write me. Don't call me. I said yesterday I had 13 kids because Amy died, and now I have 12 children because you died. I am disowning you. I don't want anything to do with you. And I'm putting you up for adoption, girl. If you want someone else to adopt you, run for it. Run for it. But don't ask me to pay for $85,000 loss of family income to adopt you again. I got screwed. Goodbye, Monica.